step 1, you divided by 8. I like that. It's fantastic, both sides. So what did you end up with?
25.
X to the negative 2 plus x is equal to 0. Can someone tell me what I should do next? Anybody have a suggestion for what I should do next? What should I do next? Nope, not going to subtract. Oh, I could. Sure, you could. Okay. I'm not saying that's right. So 25x to the negative 2 is equal to negative x. Sure. Now what am I going to do? Yeah, so rewrite it so you have 25 over x squared is equal to negative x. And maybe over 1 to help see what's next. What do I do now? Yeah. One word, or 2 words, yeah.
Multiply.
Yeah, sure. It's the same as cross multiplying in this case. Yeah, multiply by both sides by x squared. So you get 25 is equal to what?
Is equal to
negative what?
cubed.
Yep. Yep, negative x cubed. What should I do now, everybody? What should I do now? Yeah.
Well, you can just
Move the negative over. Yep. So you get x cubed is equal to negative 25. And we're just about done. Both sides. So you have x is equal to the cube root of negative 25. Is that a real number or an imaginary number?
Real.
It is a real number. It is a real number. Why is it a real number? Yeah. Because it's an odd root. Exactly. This right here is an odd root. You can do odd roots of negative numbers and it stays real. So for example, this isn't a nice, round one. This is irrational. What's the cube root of negative 27? What's the cube root of negative 27? Negative 3. Negative 3. So this is somewhere between negative 2 and negative 3. A little closer to negative 3. You are doing this now just so that you can remember some basic algebraic simplification solutions. You might be, this might be part of the work you have to do, and that's why we're reviewing. It has to be true for this function to be in the domain of this function for valid x values. 100 minus x squared has to be what?
Greater than or equal to 0.
Has to be greater than. Can it be equal to 0?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you can do it.
You can do that. Yeah, well, you can take the square root of 0. What's the square root of 0? 0. This, the radicand, what's underneath, needs to be greater than 0. So can you solve this?
Yeah.
Solve that for me. Tell me what the answer to the sides. So x is going to be less than or equal to 10. But there's something here to be very careful about. That's true, but when you take the square root, you also have to make it what? Plus or minus. So x is less than or equal, and then also x, some relationship to negative 10. What's the relationship to negative 10? So it's less than or equal to 10, but if you make something negative, what do you do with the equality? You flip it. Yes, exactly. So it's this right here. It should make sense because what does this look like, everybody? That's a parabola. Is that parabola facing up or down? It is facing down. And where does it cross? It crosses at negative 10 and what? And what? Positive 10. And positive 10, exactly. So we want 100 minus x squared to be greater than or equal to 0. So where is it greater than or equal to 0?
I think you flipped the signs there, unless I screwed up. You see on the first one you have greater than or equal to, and then you have less than or equal to.
Oh, that's because I added it to the other side, and I added it to the other side. So it's the same thing as this. 100 is greater than or equal to x squared. That's the exact same thing as x squared is less than or equal to 100. You see that?
Yeah.
Excellent. So where on that? Look at the yellow highlighting. Where is that true? That's when x is less than 10 and what? Greater than negative 10. So if you wanted to answer this, you could say negative 10 to 10. And, yes, because it's in between. It's in between two things. It's and because it's in between two things. The number has to be greater than negative 10 and less than 10. How do you go about doing B? You need to do first. Take the derivative. Everybody stand up, okay? Everybody stand up. Stand up. Here we go. So, take the derivative. That 1/2 is just along for the ride. So that 1/2. What rule, or how should I rewrite this first? X times what?
X times 100
Minus x squared to the half power. So we need to take the derivative. What rule do we need to use? Product rule. So we have 1/2 times the derivative of the first times the second, x squared, not to the negative 1/2, times the second, plus what? The first times, what's the derivative of the second? Can someone tell me what the derivative of the second is going to be? 1/2 times 100 minus x squared to the what? Negative 1/2 times what? Times what? Negative 2x. Exactly. So we found the derivative. We have the derivative. We haven't simplified it. boys. We haven't simplified it. Take a look at that and see if that makes the whole thing. And what do you set it equal to? 0 is equal to that whole thing. What could you divide both sides by right now just to make it a little easier? You could divide by the 1/2. So now we have 0 is equal to 100 minus x squared plus x times 1/2. Oh wait, could we cancel that and the 2? We could, but it becomes minus though, right? So we have minus 100 minus x squared to the negative 1/2. Take a look at that, and what could we do now? Do we like negative exponents? What could we do now?
Make it fraction.
Yeah, so what do you mean by make it fraction? What does the left side become, Henry?
1 over,
Well, x squared over what?
over 100 minus x squared to the 1/2.
Yes. Equals what? 100 minus x squared to the what?
1/2.
Yeah. And that's all over 1, right? What should I do now? What happens with powers of powers? You multiply powers of powers. So what's 1/2 times 2?
1.
So what do you end up with? 100 minus x squared to the what power? 1 is equal to what? X squared. Do we care about that to the 1 power? No, it's just invisible. What should I add to both sides now? So we have 100 is equal to 2x squared. Divide by what now? 2. So x squared is equal to what? 50. So x is equal to what? Close. Plus or minus the square root of 50. Exactly. We're not quite done yet because that just tells us where the derivative is 0. If we want to know maximum and minimums, what do we need to make right now? Sign chart. So what do we have here? We have negative root 50 and what? Positive root 50. So that's the x value. You need f prime now. How many values you need to test? You need something for that one, that region. You need something for this region. Do you remember sign charts, everybody?
Yeah.
There's 3 regions. So what value you want to check in the middle? 0. And where do we look? What do we want to look at? We want to look at the derivative, right? Correct?
Yes.
You want to look at the derivative? So let's look at the derivative. Where is the derivative? Here's the derivative right here. We could do the derivative, which is right here. Did we simplify that a little bit? Where's the most simplified form of the derivative right there? Do you see the most simplified form? It's right here. There's our super simplified form of the derivative. When you plug in 0, you need to figure out if that's positive or negative. So you said it was a prime is equal to 2 pi x plus 2 pi 200 over pi minus x times negative 1. If you want to find the critical points, that's when the derivative is 0 or undefined. So it's half of what we did before. This is nice. We need to set this equal to 0. 2 pi x minus 2 pi times 200 over pi minus x is equal to what? 0. Exactly. Can someone raise their hand and tell me one thing I could divide everything by right now that would be nice?
2.
And what? Actually, better, even more. 2 pi, right? So we have x minus 200 over pi minus x equals 0. So what does x equal? What does x equal?
200 over
Pi minus x. What do you think the most common mistake would be so far on your work? If I gave this to 1,000 students, what mistake do you think would happen most frequently so far? Yeah.
Not getting the right derivative.
No, I think the derivative would be pretty good. I think so far there's an algebraic mistake people would make. They would add things to both sides and they'd make that x positive on the other side. Because what are you subtracting here? You're subtracting this whole thing, right? So you have to add the whole thing to the other side. Hey, what do we do now?
Add an x.
I kind of made this convoluted. I totally realize that. So 2x is equal to 200 over pi. So what does x equal? 100 over pi.